The knife clatters against the plate. My fingers freeze. The sound echoes through our kitchen like a gunshot. Dad's head snaps up from his newspaper, his eyes narrow. Anna. Just my name, nothing else. But I know that tone. Sorry, I whisper, quickly repositioning the knife alongside the fork. I've been setting the table for 20 minutes, making sure everything is perfect. The fork's exactly 1 inch from the edge. The napkins folded into triangles, just the way Mom likes. The glass is placed precisely above the knives. It's Sunday dinner in our farmhouse outside Millfield, Ohio. The June heat presses against the windows, making the kitchen feel smaller than it is. The ancient air conditioning unit rattles and wheezes, but barely cools the room. Mom waddles in from the living room, one hand supporting her lower back, the other resting on her enormous belly. 8 months pregnant, and she looks ready to burst. Dark circles shadow her eyes. She hasn't smiled in weeks. Is the table ready yet? She asks, not really looking at me. Almost done. I carefully place the final spoon, then step back to check my work. Dad folds his newspaper with a sharp snap. Took you long enough. I bite the inside of my cheek and force the corners of my mouth upward. The smile feels plastic on my face. I wanted to make it nice. Mom sighs as she lowers herself into her chair. Richard, would you get the roast out of the oven? Anna, the potatoes. We move around the kitchen in our familiar dance of distance. No one touches, no one speaks unless necessary. The back of my hand brushes against the hot dish of potatoes as I set it on the table. A flash of pain. I swallow the yelp that rises in my throat. Sit down, Anna, Dad says, already cutting into the roast. We need to discuss something important. My stomach tightens. In our house, something important never means good news. Mom stares at her empty plate. Her fingers trace circles on her swollen belly. She won't look at me. What is it? I ask, my voice coming out smaller than I intended. Dad spears a piece of meat, inspects it, then places it on his plate. Your mother's due date is getting closer. I know. 4 more weeks. I've been counting down the days until I meet my baby brother or sister. With the baby coming, he continues, things are going to change around here. I nod. I've already given up my craft table in the spare room, helped Mom wash the baby clothes that came in boxes from her sister Margaret, listened to Dad complain about the cost of diapers and formula. Anna, look at me. I lift my eyes to meet his. Something in his face turns my blood cold. When the baby comes, Dad says, cutting each word clean and precise, you'll be staying with Aunt Margaret, not for a visit, for good. The words don't make sense at first. They're just sounds. Then they crash through me like a wrecking ball. What? The word barely escapes my throat. It's for the best, Mom says, still not looking at me. Margaret has plenty of room at her place in North Carolina. You'll like it there. But I live here. My voice quivers. This is my home. Your mother needs rest after the baby comes, Dad says, as if explaining something obvious. We can't handle both of you right now. Both of you. Like I'm a package, a burden, an afterthought. I can help with the baby, I whisper. I can be quiet. I can. The decision is made, Anna. Dad's tone ends the discussion. You leave next weekend. Next weekend. 7 days. My entire life packed up and shipped away in 7 days. The potatoes on my plate blur through my tears. I blink hard, knowing crying will only make Dad angry. 9 years of practice has taught me how to swallow my feelings until they're hidden deep where no one can see them. I think about my classroom at Millfield Elementary, where my 4th grade artwork never makes it to the bulletin board. About Mrs. Wilson next door, who sometimes watches me with sad eyes but never says anything when Mom forgets to pick me up from the bus stop. About the bedroom I've painted sunshine yellow with my own saved allowance. All disappearing in 7 days. Mom finally looks at me, her face a blank mask. Margaret is excited to have you. She's already fixed up a room. Already fixed up a room. This wasn't a sudden decision. They've been planning this, planning to send me away. I cut my meat into tiny pieces, each slice precise. Perfect. If I focus on making each piece exactly the same size, maybe I won't fall apart right here at the dinner table. May I be excused? I ask when I can trust my voice again. Dad waves his fork dismissively. Go pack what you want to take. Whatever doesn't fit in 2 suitcases stays behind. 2 suitcases for 9 years of life. I walk to my room, back straight, steps measured. Only when I close my door do I allow myself to slide to the floor, arms wrapped around my knees, making myself as small as possible. On my bed sits the stuffed rabbit I've had since I was a baby. 1 ear is missing and the fabric is worn smooth from years of holding it close. Will there be room for him in my suitcase? Or will he be left behind too? A thought surfaces through the shock. What did I do wrong? But deep down, I already know. I existed. And somehow, that was never quite enough. Aunt Margaret's house smells like cinnamon and fresh bread. So different from our sterile home where Mom banned scented candles because they gave her headaches. This is your room, Anna, Aunt Margaret says, pushing open a door painted sunshine yellow exactly like my old room. Did she know? Did Mom tell her? I step inside, my 2 suitcases clutched in white-knuckled hands. A patchwork quilt covers the bed, explosion of colors fighting against the gray emptiness inside me. A mason jar of wildflowers sits on the nightstand, purple and yellow blooms reaching toward the sunlight streaming through lace curtains. Aunt Margaret kneels beside my suitcase, her weathered hands opening it with gentle reverence. She lifts up my clothes one by one, smoothing wrinkles, hanging each piece in the closet as if they're precious things. I don't fold right, I blurt out. Dad says I never get the corners straight. Her hands pause. Something flickers across her face, a shadow I can't name. There's more than one way to fold a shirt, Anna. Your way is just fine. She takes out the stuffed rabbit with the missing ear. Instead of setting him aside as I expect, she places him in the center of the bed, like he belongs there. This is your home now, she says, straightening up with a small grunt. For as long as you want it to be. Home. The word lodges in my throat like a stone. 3 weeks later, I'm exploring the attic. Aunt Margaret said I could look for books up here. The floorboards creak beneath my feet as dust motes dance in the beams of afternoon light. Cardboard boxes line the walls, each neatly labeled in Aunt Margaret's slanting handwriting. A wooden trunk catches my eye. Inside, I find old photo albums, Christmas ornaments, and a stack of letters bound with faded blue ribbon. I recognize Dad's handwriting immediately. My fingers tremble as I untie the ribbon. The first letter is dated 14 months ago. Margaret, we've discussed this at length, and Diane and I feel it would be best for Anna to live with you after the baby comes. She's always been difficult, not like other children. I know you've been fond of her, so we hoped you'd be amenable to this arrangement. Difficult, the word burns into my brain. I flip through more letters, scanning the pages. Words jump out like slaps. Constantly requiring attention. Diane needs to focus on the baby. Never quite fits in with other children. Best for everyone. A floorboard creaks behind me. Aunt Margaret stands there, a tray with 2 glasses of lemonade in her hands. Her eyes land on the letters, and she sets the tray down with a sigh. I hoped you wouldn't find those. She lowers herself to the floor beside me, her knees popping. Anna. They planned it for a whole year. My voice sounds far away. They were going to send me away even before Mom got pregnant again. Aunt Margaret doesn't deny it, doesn't try to soften the truth. She just takes my hand. Your parents had offers of help from your Uncle James, from your grandparents. They refused. She squeezes my fingers. I wanted you here, Anna. I've always wanted you. I stare at the letters in my lap. Why didn't they want me? Some people shouldn't be parents, she says simply. It's not about you. It never was. My 10th birthday arrives on a Tuesday in September. I've been at Aunt Margaret's for 3 months now. She bakes a small chocolate cake with vanilla frosting. 10 blue candles form a circle on top. Make a wish, she says, her smile crinkling the corners of her eyes. I close my eyes and blow. I don't wish for them to take me back. All day, I wait for the phone to ring. It doesn't. 2 weeks later, a package arrives. Inside is a store-bought card with a cartoon cat wearing a party hat. Happy birthday, Anna, in printed letters. Below, in Dad's handwriting, from Mom and Dad, only Dad signed it. Mrs. Wilson, my new teacher, keeps me after class today. This essay is outstanding, Anna, she says, tapping my paper about pioneer women. You have a remarkable voice for someone so young. I wait for the but. It doesn't come. On the bus ride home, I press my forehead against the cool window, watching the countryside blur. The bus stops at the end of Aunt Margaret's long driveway. As I step off, Mr. Jenkins from next door waves from his garden. Got those tomato plants ready for you, he calls. Come by any time to pick 'em up. At dinner, the phone rings. Aunt Margaret answers, then smiles at me. It's for you, Anna. Someone named Becky? The girl from my science class. The one who asked if I wanted to be her partner. She wants to know if you can sleep over on Saturday, Aunt Margaret says, hand covering the receiver. A sleepover. I've never been invited to one before. The photo arrives on a Tuesday. A chubby baby with wisps of blonde hair. My brother, Logan. On the back, Mom's handwriting. Logan, 3 months. He's such an easy baby, sleeps through the night already. I take the photo to the barn and sit in the hayloft, legs dangling. Easy baby, not difficult, not like me. Aunt Margaret finds me there an hour later, tears dried on my cheeks. I saw the photo, she says, climbing up to sit beside me. I don't think I was the problem, was I? The question feels huge, like it's been growing inside me for 10 years. Aunt Margaret puts her arm around my shoulders, pulling me against her soft side. No, sweetheart, she says, you never were. Morning light streams through my bedroom window, catching dust motes that dance like memories. I trace 10 notches carved into my wooden bedpost tone for each year since I arrived at Aunt Margaret's farm. The most recent mark still looks fresh, made just last month on what I've come to call my second birthday. 10 years of transformation can't be measured in simple lines on wood, but they're there all the same. Scrapbooks on my shelf chronicle the journey. Honor roll certificates, a spelling bee trophy, a newspaper clipping of me accepting the class president position. The frightened 9-year-old who arrived with 2 suitcases has bloomed into someone I never imagined becoming. I pull on jeans and a faded t-shirt, the day already promising summer heat. Outside, the farm stretches before me no longer foreign territory, but a sanctuary I've learned to tend with my own hands. Each garden row, each repaired fence post, each chicken named and cared for, has taught me self-sufficiency in ways my parents never bothered to consider. Aunt Margaret stands at the kitchen counter, her hands working pie dough with practice movements. At 67, her fingers have grown more gnarled, but they never stop creating. College girls sleeping late today, she teases, glancing at the clock that reads 7:30 a.m. Summer break privilege. I steal a piece of apple from her filling bowl. Besides, I was up reading until 2. The memory surfaces of winter evenings with Aunt Margaret, quilting by firelight while she read Dickens aloud. How many classics have we shared this way? The bookshelf in the living room stands as testament to our literary journeys, each volume, inscribed with notes we've exchanged about the characters and their choices. Those philosophy books will keep you up all night. She smiles, her eyes crinkling at the corners. Better than those murder mysteries your grandfather used to read. My moral compass took shape under her guide enseignant, through lectures but through quiet conversations about consequence and mercy. While my childhood home operated on rules designed to minimize inconvenience, Aunt Margaret taught ethics rooted in compassion. The phone rings, interrupting our easy Sunday routine. Aunt Margaret wipes her hands on her apron and reaches for the kitchen landline. Mitchell residence. Her expression shifts, subtle but unmistakable. The slight stiffening of her shoulders, the momentary closing of her eyes. 10 years of watching this woman has taught me to read these small signals like a second language. Yes, She's here. A pause. I understand. She turns, extending the receiver toward me with one hand, while the other finds my shoulder, steadying me before I even know I need support. It's your mother. The plastic feels cold against my palm. I haven't heard my mother's voice since I was 14, when an awkward birthday call ended with her telling me how wonderfully behaved my brother was, unlike some children. Hello? Anna. My mother's voice sounds older, tighter. We need to talk to you. No, how are you? No acknowledgement of the 5 years of silence. Just the demand, as if time hasn't passed at all. What about? I keep my voice neutral, feeling Aunt Margaret's supportive presence as she pretends to busy herself with the pie, but stays within reach. It's Logan. My mother sighs dramatically. He's completely out of control. Over the next 10 minutes, my parents take turns listing my brother's offenses. Smoking behind the garage, fighting at school, talking back, a recent suspension. Each transgression recited like evidence in a trial where I'm somehow both witness and accused. The school counselor says he needs more structure. My father's voice cuts in. But your mother's exhausted from trying to manage him. I catch Aunt Margaret's eye. We both recognize what they're not saying, that Logan, now 10, has become inconvenient the way I once was. Anna, you were always so responsible, my mother says, her voice sweetening artificially. And studying psychology too. We thought maybe. You want me to come back? The realization stone in still water. Just for the summer, my father interjects quickly. To help get him back on track, show him what a good example looks like. The unspoken accusation hangs in the air that somehow Aunt Margaret's influence on me has contributed to their parenting failures with Logan. We need you to come home and help with Logan, my mother says finally, dispensing with the pretense. The Hendersons from church asked about you last Sunday. People are starting to talk. Ah, there it is. The real concern, their reputation in the community. Family should stick together, don't you think? My father adds, his voice dropping into that tone I remember from childhood, the one that sounds reasonable while allowing no disagreement. Something inside me wavers, that little girl still hungry for approval, for belonging. For a fleeting moment, I imagine stepping back into their home, helping my brother, finally earning the love they've withheld. The fantasy plays out in Technicolor. Grateful parents, a brother saved, a family healed. My hands begin to shake. My heartbeat quickens. I look across at Aunt Margaret, who sits silently at the table now, her expression carefully neutral. She won't make this decision, for Mesh never has. My mind flashes to the attic, to the dusty box where I found those letters years ago. She's been difficult since birth. We've tried everything. Margaret, you've always been good with problem children. I take a deep breath. No. Silence on the line. What do you mean, no? My father's voice hardens. I mean, I won't be coming. My voice steadies with each word. You didn't raise me. You replaced me. The sharp intake of breath tells me my arrow has found its mark. How dare you? My mother hisses. After everything we've done. What exactly have you done, Mom? Send a Christmas card every other year? My father's voice takes over, dripping with manufactured outrage. So you're just going to abandon your brother? Like a selfish? Like you abandoned me? The question comes out calm, not accusatory. No, I'll reach out to Logan directly. I'll be his sister, but I won't be your solution. Anna Elizabeth Mitchell, you listen to me. I gently place the receiver back in its cradle, ending the call without raising my voice once. Later, as evening settles around us, Aunt Margaret and I sit on the porch swing. Cicadas create a symphony in the summer darkness. The familiar creak of the chains matches our gentle rocking rhythm. You okay? She asks, her voice soft in the gathering dark. The tears come then, surprising me with their intensity. But they aren't sad tears, they're something else entirely. Release. Relief. Recognition of a truth I've carried for years. Aunt Margaret's arm settles around my shoulders, solid and warm. I've never been more proud of anyone in my life. she whispers. I wipe my eyes, watching fireflies begin their nightly dance over the fields. I keep thinking about what I owe them. And what did you decide? Nothing. The word feels like freedom on my tongue. I owe nothing to people who treated me as disable. We rock in comfortable silence, the night wrapping around us like a quilt stitched with stars. What I didn't know then was that my refusal was just the beginning. The family who had dismissed me was about to learn exactly what they had thrown away, and the lesson would come in ways they never expected. The auditorium hums with anticipation. 600 faces turn toward the stage as the dean approaches the microphone. I smooth my graduation gown over my knees and take a measured breath. The Margaret Wilson Award for Leadership and Community Service goes to a young woman who exemplifies resilience, compassion, and vision. The dean's voice carries through the hall. This year's recipient is Anna Mitchell. The applause washes over me like warm rain. I rise, surprised by the steadiness in my legs as I climb the 3 steps to the stage. From the front row, Aunt Margreams. Her silver hair catches the stage lights, forming a halo around her weathered face. She's wearing her good dress navy blue with white piping, the one reserved for church and special occasions. The weight of the engraved crystal award settles into my palms. Cool, substantial. Like the hollow praise my parents once doled out. Thank you, I say into the microphone. The faces blur before me, but I don't need notes for what comes next. We often talk about family, something we're born into. A lottery of blood and circumstance. My voice grows stronger with each word. But that's only the beginning of the story, isn't it? The audience stills. Some people are born to parents. I was raised by love. The words emerge clear and unhurried. Every act of kindness shapes us. Every person who chooses to stay when they could walk away becomes our true family. From the corner of my eye, I catch Aunt Margaret wiping a tear with her handkerchief. 20 minutes later, as we stand amid a cluster of well-wishers, she squeezes my hand. Your parents have no idea what they threw away, she whispers. But they soon would. 2 weeks later, my phone buzzes with a message from my childhood friend Becky. Did you know your father's telling everyone at Millfield Hardware he always knew you'd make something of yourself? I stare at the screen, a bitter laugh escaping my throat. He also claimed he supported your education 100%, Becky adds, until Ted Bradford stood up and told everyone he was at your ceremony and didn't see your folks anywhere. The next message arrives before I can respond. Your mom tried the same thing at church. Pastor Williams asked her why they missed such an important day. She couldn't look him in the eye. I set the phone down, a strange calm settling over me. Their carefully constructed narrative, the troublesome daughter they had to send away, is crumbling, the truth emerging like shoots through cracked concrete. Not with a bang, but a whimper. The unknown number appears on my phone 3 days later. I nearly decline the call, thinking it's another credit card offer. Hello? I balance the phone between ear and shoulder while watering Aunt Margaret's geraniums. Silence stretches across the line, then a boy's voice, cracking on the edge of adolescence. Is this Anna? The watering can slips, splashing my feet. Yes. Who's this? Logan. A pause. Your brother. My free hand grips the porch railing. The brother I've never met. The baby who replaced me. I found your number in Dad's office. He continues, words tumbling faster now. In a folder with your college information. They talk about you like you're dead. But I've always wondered. I sink onto the porch swing, unable to form words. I've been following you online, he admits. Your speech at the awards ceremony went viral, you know. That's how I recognized you. You look like Mom, but different somehow. Happier, I suggest, finding my voice at last. His laugh comes short, hollow. Yeah, that's it. Another silence. I wish I had grown up with you instead. Maybe I wouldn't be like this. My heart cracks open for this boy I don't know, carrying wounds I recognize. Like what? Broken, he whispers. We develop a system Sunday night calls after our parents go to bed. Books shipped to a friend's house. Small acts of resistance and connection. Stand up straight when he yells. I tell Logan. He hates that. Bullies want you to cower. I tried it, Logan reports the following week. He got so red I thought he'd explode. You're not the problem, I remind him, echoing Aunt Margaret's words from long ago. You never were. One evening, I introduce Logan to Aunt Margaret via video chat. Her face softens at the sight of him, this boy, with my eyes and our mother's chin. Well now, she says, adjusting her reading glasses. Aren't you the spitting image of your granddaddy Harold? Logan's face lights up. My grandfather? They never talk about him. Something shifts in Aunt Margaret's expression. Perhaps it's time you met him. The call from my maternal grandparents comes a month later. I hadn't spoken to them since I was 8, another relationship my parents had severed. Anna? My grandmother's voice, tentative. We've been talking with Margaret. I hold my breath. We didn't know, sweetheart, about what they did to you. We were told you were difficult, that you'd chosen to live with Margaret. I say nothing. Let the silence do its work. We've seen the photos Margaret shared. Your graduation, the farm, you look happy. I am, I confirm. Logan isn't, she says simply. We're filing for temporary guardianship next week. 3 days later, Logan calls, breathless with news. I'm packing, he says. Moving in with Grandma and Grandpa Mitchell tomorrow. How did Mom and Dad take it? His laugh sounds stronger than I've ever heard it. I told them exactly why I was leaving. Said I'm going to live with people who know how to love. Like Anna did. I close my eyes, picturing my parents' faces. Their carefully constructed world, the perfect family narrative they'd cultivated after discarding my crumbling completely. Not with a bang, but a whimper. And somewhere in the years between the little girl setting a perfect table and the woman I've become, I find I don't need their world to crumble anymore. I just need Logan to be free. Gravel crunches under unfamiliar tires. I freeze, fork halfway to my mouth. Sunday dinner with Aunt Margaret's sacred ritual for 15 years interrupted by visitors we never have. A car door slams. Then another. Who on earth? Aunt Margaret rises, falling to her lap. I know before I see them. Something in my bones recognizes the intrusion, like an old injury that aches before rain. Through the kitchen window, my parents, standing awkwardly in the yard. Mother smooths her dress. Father adjusts his collar. They look older, grayer, but the set of their shoulders, that particular tension remains unchanged. Anna. Aunt Margaret's hand finds my shoulder. You don't have to. I know. I place my napkin beside my plate. Let them in. They enter with rehearsed smiles. Mother's arms open for a hug I don't step into. Father extends his hand, which I shake briefly. The calluses on my palms scrape against his soft skin. Look at you, Mother says, voice high and brittle. You're all grown up. Aunt Margaret folds her arms. What brings you here unannounced? Father clears his throat. Family matters. We've been doing a lot of thinking, a lot of soul searching. It's time to heal what's been broken. Mother nods, eyes glistening with tears that don't quite fall. We've missed so much of your life, Anna. 15 years. I keep my voice level. That was your choice. We were young, we didn't know better. Father gestures toward the dining table. Mind if we join you? We've driven 8 hours to talk. Aunt Margaret serves them plates without warmth. The clinking of silverware fills silences where conversation should be. Logan's doing well with Mother and Dad, Father says, as if commenting on the weather. But this situation can't continue. We need to present a united front for the custody hearing. Mother kicks him under the table. Too late. So that's why you're here. The pieces slot into place. Not to heal anything. You need me to testify against my grandparents. Blood is thicker than water, Anna. Father leans forward. We're still your parents. We've missed you every day. Mother's hand reaches for mine across the table. I move mine to my lap. If we could do it all over again. But you can't, I finish for her. Father pulls out his phone. Let's take a photo, the three of us. Show the judge we're working things out. You can post it on your social media. I stand. Let's talk on the porch, just us. They follow me outside like I'm the parent, they the children. I pour 3 glasses of sweet tea from the pitcher we keep cooling. Ice cubes clink against glass. A perfect toast. 15 years ago, I begin. You sent me away with 2 suitcases. You never called on my birthdays. Never asked how I was doing in school. Never sent Christmas presents that weren't afterthoughts. I take a measured sip of tea. Now you need something from me, so suddenly I'm your daughter again. Father starts to interrupt. I raise my hand. He stops. I found the letters, you know, in Aunt Margaret's attic. The ones where you called me difficult. Where you planned for months to send me away after Logan was born. Mother's face drains of color. Those were private. Yes, private plans about my life. Made without considering I was a person, not a problem to solve. I recite from memory. She's always been too much work, too demanding. The new baby deserves parents who aren't exhausted from dealing with her issues. The words still cut, even now. Father shifts, uncomfortable in the wicker chair. We were under tremendous stress. You have to understand. I do understand. Better than you think. From my pocket, I withdraw a small notebook. Flip it open. The real reason you're here isn't Logan's welfare. It's your reputation. The neighbors talk. Your church friends wonder. Your coworkers ask questions. Mother's hand trembles around her untouched tea. What will people think if this continues? That's always been your primary concern, hasn't it? A cardinal lands on the porch railing, brilliant red against weathered wood. I watch it until it flies away. I forgive you, I say finally, surprising myself with the truth of it. But I don't need you in my life. I won't testify against my grandparents. And I fully support Logan living wherever he feels safe and valued. Father's face darkens. After everything we've done for you, what exactly did you do for me? My voice remains steady while his rises. Name one sacrifice you made, one time you put my needs before your convenience. The silence speaks volumes. I stand. I'll show you to your car. They rise, mother wiping tears, father's jaw clenched tight enough to crack teeth. We're still your parents, he shouts as I walk them down the steps. I turn at the bottom, sun warm on my back, and look up at Aunt Margaret standing in the doorway. Her face lined with years of quiet strength and unconditional love glows in the afternoon light. No, I say, pointing toward the porch. She is. Their car disappears down the long driveway, dust settling in its wake. Aunt Margaret's arm circles my shoulders as we watch together. You held your peace, she whispers. I nod, something unfurling in my chest like spring's first bloom. Not joy, exactly. Something steadier. The quiet strength of knowing my own worth. My fingers tighten around the rolled diploma as I cross the stage. The weight of it, this physical proof that I've completed my master's in child psychology, feels almost sacred. 5 years of work culminating in this moment. Anna Elizabeth Mitchell, the dean announces, her voice carrying across the auditorium. From the audience comes a cheer that makes me look up. There they are, me real family. Aunt Margaret, in the blue dress she sewed just for today, her arthritis-bent fingers clutching a handkerchief. Beside her sits Logan, 15 now, and shooting up like a weed, practically vibrating with excitement. My grandparents' she's guardians now beam from the row behind them. The empty seats where my parents might have sat don't ache anymore. Their absence was my choice. I remember another ceremony, 4th grade perfect attendance. I stood on stage scanning an audience of parents, finding no familiar faces. The crushing weight of being forgotten squeezes my chest for just a moment before dissolving. Look how far we've come. You're getting pretty good at that, I tell Logan, watching him adjust the telescope on Aunt Margaret's back porch. Friday night stargazing has become a ritual during his weekend visits. Saturn's rings are visible tonight, he says, voice cracking with adolescent excitement rather than pain. 5 years ago, he was a furious 10-year-old, throwing rocks at windows and cursing teachers. Now he's explaining planetary alignments, his eyes clear, his smile genuine. Remember when you taught me about Orion? He steps back so I can look. My first night here? I remember. How small he seemed then, hunched against the porch railing, suspicious of kindness. The way he flinched when I raised my hand to point at stars. You're a good teacher, he says, checking his watch. You should bring those kids from your counseling center out here sometime. The thought warms me. Just yesterday, a 7-year-old girl with haunted eyes whispered, "Was it my fault?" And I could tell her with absolute certainty, no, never, not even a little bit. The email appears while I'm sipping morning coffee on the porch swing. Subject line, "One last attempt." From my mother. My finger hovers over delete, but something stops me. I open it. Anna. No excuses. I failed you. Not because I was young or stressed or unprepared, but because I lacked courage. Your father and I made inexcusable choices that hurt you deeply. You deserved better. I'm sorry. Truly sorry. I don't expect forgiveness, I just needed you to know. Mom. No manipulation. No guilt. Just truth. 15 years too late. I type 2 words. Thank you. Then press send. It's all I owe her. All I have to give. Hold still, I tell Aunt Margaret, tucking the quilt around her legs. Evening brings a chill these days, even in June. We rock gently on the same porch swing, where I've cried, laughed, and grown up. Her hands spotted with age, but still steady rest in mine. Logan's room at college needs this quilt, she says. Blue and gray, his favorite colors. I nod, throat tight with gratitude. You saved me, I whisper. In every way a person can be saved. She shakes her head, silver hair catching the sunset. No, dear, you saved yourself. I just gave you a safe place to do it. Later, I stand at the property line. The sun sinks below the distant mountains, painting the sky in fierce oranges and pinks. My phone buzzes. Logan, thank you for showing me what family really means. I smile, pocketing the phone. Beyond this farm lies the vast world where I counsel children, teach parents, and build a life defined by choice, not circumstance. Family isn't always who you're born to. Sometimes, it's who shows up when everyone else walks away. And sometimes, if you're lucky enough, it's also who stays.